Into the Dungeon is a roguelike deck builder inspired by the likes of Slay the Spire, where you fight monsters with cards and climb through its various levels, but with a feature we wish every game like this could have. You can play it in multiplayer. From the very start, you have several classes to choose from, each with their own unique cards and playstyles. Paladins can get super tanky, bards can stack passive damage, Vikings can play a lot of cards by pulling from its discard pile. No class plays like the other. And with multiplayer, this isn't just a single player experience with another person tacked onto it. Many of your cards affect your allies in different ways. You can see who your enemies are targeting, anyone can apply block to anyone in the party, bards can help you use additional cards, Vikings can aggressively motivate you, paladins can heal you. Each character has their own unique ways of assisting each other on top of their already unique playstyles. What I really enjoyed about this game is that single player is just as viable as playing multiplayer, and no matter which way you experience the game, you can play through everything it has to offer. Just when entering multiplayer, enemies scale up to match the amount of players that join, which is up to 4 by the way. This isn't just one other person you get to play with. You can have up to 4 of you fighting together. In the general scale of difficulty, Into the Dungeon isn't as challenging as something like Slay the Spire. And completing a game from start to finish, once I knew what I was doing, took about 45 minutes on average to get through all the levels in a run. Sometimes shorter or longer depending on which class I chose, as some classes deal damage faster while others are geared more towards taking hits. While this game works perfectly good as a single-player experience, its strength really comes in when you play it multiplayer. While Into the Dungeon can feel pretty challenging at times, it still always feels fair, which I've had a hard time deciding if that's a good thing or not. One of Slay the Spire's strengths is that it generally feels like things are stacked against you, and you have to try and try again in order to figure out how to avoid and deal with these unfair advantages that you face. But because the design and balance of Into the Dungeon is pretty good, the game isn't as cutthroat as Slay the Spire feels, and I don't feel like Into the Dungeon has as strong of a replayability as Slay the Spire has, unless you can get some friends together and play this multiplayer. And then I'd argue there's just as much replayability, if not more. Most of my experience with Into the Dungeon has been single player, and I've yet to find myself bored or feel tired of what it has to offer. But the few opportunities I've had to play it multiplayer were some of the best experiences I've ever had playing a roguelike deck building video game.